And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the PondCast. The PondCast, episode 80, your weekly dose of all things StarCraft. I'm, of course, just VIP. With him, joined by the topics. By, of course, our lovely producer as well in the background, Kura. Kura. The people in the chat as well. Welcome, one and all, again, to the PondCast. Every single week, for the most part, we've been live covering the news of the week in StarCraft and StarCraft adjacent news as well. Of course, at the beginning of the year, we did take some weeks off, just taking a break, just enjoying the holidays, but now we're here. Now we are back on a regular basis, and we have a lot to get into. Here we go. First things first, we do have the Esports Awards. Now, this is a little bit late for us to cover. This did occur last month, to be fair, but as I mentioned before, we were otherwise taking a break from the podcast and from tournaments for the first week or first couple of weeks of January, so that did kind of push a couple things back, but now we're here to finally catch up on said Esports Awards. Congratulations to Taste Hostess. Our Hostess and Tasteless, they did, of course, earn a spot in the Esports Hall of Fame, and I believe they got like a legacy, like a kind of a Legends Award when it comes to their career and of course their beginnings in esports in general, not just in StarCraft but in esports, as that was all kind of hand in hand, the beginning of everything back in the day, back in Brood War even. And to help commemorate this, they both did get a bit of a showing here on a podcast. Basically, the Esports Awards and EWC, they did actually host a little bit of an interview here with both Artosis and Tasteless individually. They're both on YouTube. Tasteless, his was first, followed by Artosis as well in the Origins podcast. This was hosted by Quickshot. If you remember Quickshot, he actually did help not cast, but I guess host and be a part of the intermittent kind of segments in the EWC last year. If you remember, I think day one he wasn't a part of it, but I want to say maybe starting day two, day three. I remember they spoke about this afterwards, how Quickshot, basically his role was meant to be like an intermittent host at EWC for some of the other esports, but they didn't really need him, and he was kind of lost in the ether. He was basically looking for work. he was like, guys, I gotta film stuff, and I gotta do stuff for EWC, but I don't really have anywhere to go or anything to do. So he started going around to different basically esports that were occurring, be like, hey, do you need me? Kind of. And apparently he dropped by StarCraft, and they were like, no, yeah, hop on. Why not? It's like, sure. So he stuck around for the last couple of days. For the last couple of days, he became a little bit more of a mainstay when it comes to hosting. And if you remember, I think he did some stuff with the other hosts as well, with the main StarCraft 2 host at the time for EWC. So he was around there, and of course he did help host and organize this interview series with both Artosis and Tasteless. When it comes to the interview itself, it's nothing new really. I mean they've both been around for a really long time, so there's a lot of information and a lot of interviews and talk shows with both Artosis and Tasteless. Basically, this goes over their beginnings. It goes over the beginnings, early Brood War, getting into casting, getting into commentating, getting into StarCraft 2, traveling to Korea, staying in Korea, and how difficult that was, how little support they had at the time. I think Tasteless, he was talking about how he was sleeping, on his friend's floor in his living room. Artosis was talking about how he was starving and losing a lot of weight because he was barely eating any food. It was it was pretty dire stuff. But basically they both spoke about kind of the early days of going to Korea, taking that chance, taking that shot, how difficult it was, and how they kind of stuck through it and persevered and made what they have now, right, when it comes to casting StarCraft. Of course, nowadays they're both a little bit more indoctrinated into Brood War, into the Brood War side of things. But hey, we spoke earlier about how, and we'll be discussing RSL later, but Tasteless, he was able to launch and start the RSL Patreon, and now he's kind of been focusing on that. We had Artosis, who recently tweeted about a potential StarCraft 2 project that he wants to work on. It's still a little bit vague, and we don't know if anything will actually come of that, but that's also right around the corner as well when it comes to future projects in StarCraft 2. And yeah, it was a nice little catch up. Again, it's around 40 minutes each when it comes to the interview. And again, it's nothing kind of new that we haven't heard before, but yeah, it's, I guess, a nice refresher if you're maybe a little bit less familiar with the history of Artosis and Tasteless, their early beginnings, and of course what they're currently up to now as well. So it's nice to hear from them, and again, congratulations on earning that spot when it comes to the Esports Awards, when it comes to that Esports Hall of Fame as well. Congratulations. And of course, they still both have their, as we mentioned, they both still have their hand and their toes in StarCraft 2 in some way, shape, or form. And we'll be discussing a little bit more of that later on in regards to the RSL. We'll get there. We will get there. The other big piece of news is Behind the Blue, the Team Liquid commemorating 25 years did actually release, I wouldn't say a documentary necessarily, but like a visual history, like a nice little art book kind of going through like the early stages. It's a nice little piece actually. So this has been released. It's on their store. But again, there's a lot of photos from the early days. Speaking of like players like Tasia, early StarCraft 2, and of course their own writings and their own pieces talking about their history and their upcoming kind of moments in StarCraft and in esports in general, bearing in mind that Team Liquid did begin in StarCraft. Brood War back in the day, to be fair, before SC2, but they did begin in StarCraft. The owner of Team Liquid even competed in StarCraft back in the day as well. I'm sure that's going to be a big part of this kind of visual history, and I'm sure this is kind of like a prelude to what is coming next. For those that remember, something that Team Liquid hosted a couple of months ago now was kind of like a meet and greet in Korea. They also did one in Europe as well, but they began in Korea. They began in Korea with their ex-Korean players. Tasia was there, Hero, capital H, TL Hero. Hero was there, Cure alongside Clem. It was really cool to see some of the old school Team Liquid players agree to come out and to be able to like have a bit of like an open discussion, have a bit of a talk. And I believe they did actually film some things there. They did film some things for their documentary series, and I'm sure that some of those photos and some of what they spoke about may even be here in this visual history or in this book as well. This book in this visual history. So yeah, it's really cool. I believe they began in Korea, but they did some other events in Europe and the Americas, showcasing some of their other esports titles and their other esports players, not just StarCraft 2. They began in Korea with their SC2 kind of roster, then they went to the other kind of nations, other regions for like their other games. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool that they're actually doing this to begin with. I will say there's even a piece for the Summer of Tasia as well. You do love to see it. But yeah, Team Liquid, they definitely have their roots in StarCraft and they care about their players. I mean, obviously, especially with Clem. We spoke about this during the Clem or during the TL docu-series, the EWC docu-series that they did have, and we kind of saw from their perspective at least how they experienced Clem's run. We did criticize it a little bit, talking about how the team owners were there for, was it Mobile Bang Bang? I think they were there for their mobile MOBA title, and they were not actually in Riyadh for Clem's StarCraft run, which is which was a little bit sad, not gonna lie. Like they were trying to portray it as like, oh, they got like on a Discord call with Clem afterwards, I believe. But like they specifically showed like the owners of TL going to Mobile Bang Bang, going to like some of the other MOBA titles to be there to watch them, to cheer for them as well, and to speak to the players. And then for Clem, like there were nowhere to be found. Even though he won, like this is covering like Clem's win at EWC, by the way, 2 years ago. But regardless, like they still care for their players, of course. They still have their TL, their StarCraft 2 roster, and they support their players. And I don't think we've heard anything from Clem like saying that like he's been mistreated or he doesn't have a good time at Team Liquid. Not at all. Like they definitely do care about their players, and again that kind of goes to show when it comes to not just this but also the meeting or the player showcase that they had in Korea a couple of months ago, and the upcoming documentary series or documentary that they are going to be releasing, which again, well, I guess we'll discuss a little bit later. But but again, this is available. So if you're a big fan of Team Liquid, if you're a big fan of especially some of the older days of Tasia, of Hero, of some of the older TL roster, Huck, of course, back in the day was a part of TL, and Ichi and TL and and all of that, then yeah, do consider checking it out. Again, I'm sure this is going to be an important history when it comes to just esports in general, is all documented here in Behind the Blue. Really cool. really cool to see. Up next, this is something that is a little bit new here that we don't often discuss. So maybe I'll pass it over to Kuro. But we do have the top Wikipedia contributors of January. This is something that has been done for years at this point. I can't remember when they started doing this, but for those who don't know, Wikipedia is a page that I'm sure everyone is familiar with, especially if you're in StarCraft. Like, it is common, it is normal to go to Wikipedia for brackets and for tournament results, even over the official brackets at official websites. Like, it's all on TL, it's all on Wikipedia. That's kind of what everyone goes to. But for those who don't know, Wikipedia is actually, contributed to, or it is made by the people, right? Like, it's a wiki. So basically, myself, Kuro, and other people out there, other community members, we take the time out of our own day to actually update, to actually put in scores, results, streams. All that information is done by the community. It's not like there's people that are necessarily dedicated to doing that. There are some like more hardcore contributors, of course, like Cynical, like Kashim, for example. True. Like, there are definitely some hardcore contributors that go out of the way to do as much as they can. But for the most part, like, this is, done as more of a passion project, and this is a way to kind of like shout outs and give some love to the contributors out there that do actually update Wikipedia on a regular basis. I don't know if Kura has anything to say about.
Yeah, this is just a note because, as you said, like, this is something that's been done for the past few years, where they shout out the contributors every month. There was a yearly shout out as well that we did miss, so that was also a thing. And yeah, if you want to contribute. Or even, I was thinking about it, if you want to compete in StarCraft, but you don't know how to play StarCraft well, you can contribute to the Wikipedia and compete in contributions. Technically.
There you go, true.
No,
that's
but,
kind of funny. Go on.
No, because this is like, obviously, like, people like all the editors like do it, because they're editing the tournaments, but like, it is a bit of like, small competition between editors, like, oh, who is gonna be like on this spot this month and stuff. So you can compete like that if you want.
True. Shout out to Cynical for getting first place, HJ Alpha or HJP Alpha for second place, Kashim for third. Then we have Ethan Chung and Bukun for fourth and fifth, respectively. I'm sure they're up there because of everything that's been going on in the Chinese region, the Chinese scene, with Thunderfire, with HomeStory Cup, with all the Chinese community events as well. Like, they've been.
I was gonna say that, like, you can see that, like, there are a bunch of like Chinese editors right now on the ranking because, as you said, there have been so many events. But I think pretty much Ethan and Bukun are like the two main sources of information on like most of the tournaments happening in China. Like, I see them everywhere all the time.
For sure. Of course, both of us, we are also on the standings. We can see Kura at 9th and myself at 19th, barely making it in. I find it funny that I'm actually there because for those that maybe are unaware, I used to be like, I'm pretty sure there were some months where I was even number 1 or like it's like top 3. I remember beating Kura a couple of months. I know
you could not be number 1. The two top spots are reserved for HJP and Cynical. Like, they're not letting that go.
Yeah.
Kashim has fallen a few times. I will say there were a few times, like a few months ago, where Kashim has fallen to like 6th place, which was crazy because that guy is editing like all the time. I don't know how he's doing it.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, I've been like it's like top 5 definitely, and I've been at Kura a couple of times when it comes to contributions here. But that was back when I was like actively contributing. For those who don't remember, or for those who don't know, I used to be the one to like, I don't know, update Pro League or update like especially GSL. I would be there. I would be there for GSL qualifiers. Spamming that refresh key on the challenge or sometimes the Africa website just to get updates and just to like update on the Team Liquid like live report thread here as well on Reddit, on Wikipedia. Used to be a lot more vigilant when it comes to like all those updates. Nowadays, this is like me getting top 19 is me purely just like updating like CranKy Ducklings specific stuff. like the CranKy Ducklings, we casted this and this. Okay, I put our stream in the live section, in the VOD section, and that's kind of it. Like I don't really update Wikipedia as heavily as we used to. And to be fair, like back in the day, I feel like we had to be a little bit more active, Kuro, just because there was less automation. Like nowadays, I feel like that's probably why.
That is actually a thing that there. Like over the years, a lot of things, I don't know if necessarily were automated, but like the tools are getting better, so you don't have to like manually type everything, but like there are like templates for that, and you just like put in the data and it's there. Also, actually, that is a thing. I remember, I don't remember who it was, but somebody is actually does have like a bot that takes scores from challenge and uploads them to Wikipedia and just like auto updates. I think that's used for like stuff for like Monday Night Weekly or something. Like some of the weekly tournaments are updated that way. So that
these
is
kids,
a thing.
They don't know how it was back in the day, okay? Where you had to manually put in every single score. You had to manually make all the brackets as well.
The bracket was the hard
how
part.
to do the new bracket. No, that was the easy part. I have no idea how to use the new bracket.
See, the new bracket is easy because you have the tool where you say, hey, I want the 16 player bracket that's single elimination, and it just like gives you a ready copy paste with the entire code.
Nah, let me just copy paste my own bracket. But yeah. So nowadays there is a lot more like quote unquote automation, or even some scripts and some bots that kind of like fill in a bunch of information nowadays. And again, like I rarely kind of update the way that I used to.
I do want to say,
but regardless, it is really cool that they like keep track of this sort of thing and give shout outs.
Yeah, I do want to say that
where they are.
Tournaments are not the only thing that can be updated on Wikipedia. If you're like,
sure.
I still don't think that brackets are super complicated, but if you're like, still like, I don't want to mess with the code, there are a lot of player pages, team pages, like that have like biographies that could use some work, could use either, writing the biography that's not there, or maybe like fixing some mistakes that are there, like maybe some proofreading. So like there are still a lot of things that can be done, like, just writing the article. So it's not just like the data itself.
Yeah, I remember something that I had to do. It was back, again, because of one of the other projects, but when we were doing the SSU birthdays, I literally went through every single notable player and I updated their Twitter handles, their Facebooks, their Instagrams. Like no one had Instagrams. Like I added all those socials to every single player, right? As you said, like if you are familiar with the player and you know their history, you can update their biography and you can, add some specific kind of feats that you recall or add to their history overall. If you're a little bit unsure of yourself, there can be other people that can like proofread and make sure.
Yeah, I do want to point out that you do need a source for those things. Just so you do need a source. It is a wiki after all, so sources are necessary.
For sure. But yeah, regardless, shout out to all the top 20 contributors here. And I mean, there's even other people that we are familiar with here, like Maralekos, like Captain Canuck, Defiance, and Tigoret, Nux happening as well, Cabby Ray, Thorn. So yeah, big shout out to all the contributors here, and hope to see some more contributions in the coming months. Hope to see. As that leads us into our next bit of news here, that leads us into Universe. Universe, the Korean Terran player, has concluded their military service. Military service did conclude and is looking for a team. It was streaming, and we actually did raid them a couple of days ago as well. So streaming has begun once again, is back to looking to compete. Really cool to see. For those that don't recall, Universe, not to be confused with the Mexican Zerg player Universe, is the Korean Terran Universe instead. He was more of like an up-and-coming, I would say, amateur player in the Korean scene. I would say was a step below players like Quanta, Genio, Honmono, Percival, for example. Universe was very, very active, especially during the COVID era of StarCraft. But never quite really reached kind of like the accolades of like Code A or Code S or anything like that. Towards the end, before military service, he did actually start hosting tournaments, hosting show matches. If you remember, like we were even casting some of the Universe show matches as well towards the end. So he was giving back to the community and hosting some events. And yeah, it's really cool to see that he's back and he wants to compete. He wants to improve, and he did join a team. He did join Exeritus Esports. So best of luck to Universe. I was going to say that, like, it's going to be difficult to break into the scene, but we have seen rapid growth from certain players if the passion is there, if the dedication is there. Like, the biggest example of that is Percival. Like, Percival, he has improved an insane amount over the past year. Like, it's been a year since he returned from his own retirement, and Percival, he has gotten insanely good. Like, he's even beating, I will get into it, but he's like beating players like Beyond on a regular basis. Of course, he beat Classic during our Tuna Cup monthly for December as well. Like, Percival, he and I feel like the rate of improvement is still like it's still going. Like he's still getting better and better over time. Like it's crazy just how good Percival has gotten in such a short period of time, especially after he, I would say, kind of plateaued for a long time as well. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, and we'll see if Universe can maybe follow suit. You know, I'm hoping the Percival can maybe inspire some players that are maybe kind of like in the middle of the pack that are lacking that motivation or lacking that inspiration, and maybe they can get that with Percival. Maybe. But GG. With that, great to see Universe is back. He has returned, and I wish him the best. Wish him the best when it comes to his streams and when it comes to his improvement in StarCraft 2. That leads us into the big event that happened this weekend, HomeStory Cup number 28. Now, if you haven't watched the games yourselves, this is the time to tab out. It's time to leave us for a little bit because spoilers. Again, this did occur over the weekend, and we will be discussing this. I'm even going to be spoiling myself, unfortunately, because I did not watch any of HomeStory Cup. The reasoning for that is because we're going to be casting it via replays, and of course we were unavailable over the weekend. We have been the B stream for HomeStory Cup for a couple of years now, but that was not the case for this most recent HomeStory Cup. Do apologize, but we did speak on this previously. Unfortunately, I was unavailable. One of my pets, my pet bunny Chi-Chi, was recovering from surgery at the time, and still is actually. So I of course had to spend time with my pet bunny, with Chi-Chi. I was unavailable to actually cast or to cover this event. That has been the case for most of January. That's why we just haven't been as active. We haven't been casting. So a little bit regretful that HomeStory Cup kind of clashed or kind of overlapped with that. It's a bit of a shame, but we do plan on covering the majority of these games in the group stage and in the playoffs over the next couple of weeks. At least here on the CranKy Ducklings, we'll be going over those replays. Until then, though, let's go over the results themselves. I believe we went over the initial group standings last time, but here we go. Coming into this, we have Group A. Group A, it was a 6-player group, and coming into this, I feel like we did have a lot of high hopes for both Zaun and Lambo. I did feel like there was potential for upsets when it comes to Euthermal, Geralt, and Nightmare. Nightmare was going to be a hard one to call because Nightmare has been very inactive over the past couple of months, so I had a really hard time kind of placing his skill and placing himself amongst all the other players, and I'm surprised to see Nightmare, tying with Zaun and Lambert. That's crazy. That's oh my god, crazy results here. Geralt did struggle. Geralt, he was unable to take a series. I'm a little bit surprised by that. So Geralt struggled. Euthermal also had a bit of a harder time. But yeah, Nightmare, he popped off, taking down Geralt, taking down Euthermal, taking down Kelazar. Nightmare even beat Zaun. That's wild. Yeah, Nightmare beat Zaun, and the only player that Nightmare lost to was Lambo. Likewise, Lambo, he did end up losing to Zaun, and of course Zaun did end up losing to Nightmare. So they kind of went back and forth between Zaun, Nightmare, and Lambo. And in the end, the score lines and the map scores were barely in favor of Lambo and Zaun over Nightmare. But it was very close. Jesus, very, very close. Nightmare, he almost clutched it out. Almost. And again, I'm very impressed by Nightmare's performance, considering just how inactive Nightmare has been. GG. GG, that leads us into Group E. Group E, coming into this group, I had high hopes for Serral and Ryung to make it through, and Ryung did not actually make it through here. He did struggle that much more. SOS popping off instead. I'll be honest, SOS has been very, I would say, hasn't been getting the best results ever since his return to StarCraft. He has been struggling to kind of get any momentum, but really impressive to see him doing well here as well. Very, very impressive. SOS took down Jumi, took down Mana, took down Holy Hit, went down to Serral, and did beat Ryung. Like, I was definitely looking forward to SOS versus Ryung to see how they would compare to each other, but Ryung did actually falter here and did have a harder time in the group stage. Shout out to both Serral and SOS for making it through. Coming into Group C, if you recall, I think I called this a group of death. Like, I definitely felt this was a harder group to call, both Group C and Group D. But Group C had Clem, Gabe, Laser, Cristiano, Harstem, and Fiant. I had some high hopes for Laser, considering his recent performances in open tournaments, Cristiano as well. But Cristiano, Harstem, and Fiant all did struggle, only winning a single series each. Meanwhile, Laser was more in the middle of the pack, and Gabe did pop off alongside Clem. Clem was the heavy favorite, of course, and I believe Gabe, he dropped a map to Fiant. Oh my god, Fiant. Did drop a map to Fiant, did drop a map to... Actually, Gabe, he dropped a lot of maps, but when it came to series, he only lost to Clem. So, again, strong showing there by Gabe. as Gabe and Clem do make it through in first and second place. Meanwhile, we have Group D. We have Showtime, Rainer, Skillus, Trigger, Baby Marine, and Ledlix. Coming into this, the two heavy favorites were Rainer and Showtime, but I did mention at the time that I felt like it was going to be very close between Showtime, Skillus, and Trigger. Like, I felt like Skillus and Trigger definitely had potential to make it through as well. And I thought it was going to be close between the three Protosses, but no, Showtime, looking dominant, comes out in first place in the group, and instead it was Rainer who barely made it through. We actually had a three-way tie. Rainer, Skillus, and Trigger, all 3-2, all 6-4. Even scorelines, even map scores as well. So we had a three-way tie, and we had to have some best of one tie breakers. That is crazy. In the end, Rainer beat Skillus, Skillus beat Trigger, and Rainer beat Trigger as well. So Rainer, he was able to beat both of the other tied players, and we cannot say the same for Skillus and Trigger in their own matches. So Rainer, he does barely come out on top purely because of best of ones. So there's a world where Rainer fails to get out of the groups. That would have been crazy. That would have been crazy. So again, shout out to Showtime, shout out to Rainer for making it through the group stage. That leads us into the playoffs. Coming into the playoffs here, I would say obviously Clem was the heavy favorite to win the entire event. Outside of Clem, there are some players that can threaten him. I would say that Rainer has a good showing. I would say that Rainer typically has a stronger showing compared to Cyril against Clem, at least traditionally. Likewise, we could have seen Zaun or Showtime, one of the Protoss players, threaten Clem as well. Getting into the playoffs, we had Gabe versus Zaun. Gabe does take down Zaun 3-2, went all the way to the ace match. Intense best of 5 there, as Gabe barely comes out on top. Showtime, he 3-0s SOS. Showtime does advance on to face off against Gabe. Clem 3-0s Lambo, and Cyril takes down Rainer 3-1. It's such a shame that Cyril and Rainer had to face in the first round. As I mentioned before, I do think that Rainer would have posed a greater threat to Clem. Traditionally, if you've been watching their matches, Rainer, he does often have a better showing against Clem. Cyril, he did fall 3-0. Again, Clem, he does have a more dominant performance against Cyril, just because of their play styles, just because of how they compare to each other. Clem 3-0, Cyril 3-0 Lambo. He takes down Showtime 3-1 in the upper bracket finals to make it to the grand finals. Looking down lower bracket, Gabe takes down Cyril. That is an upset. That's crazy. Out of all the matches here in the quarterfinals, that's the craziest one. Gabe taking down Cyril 3-2. That is huge for Gabe. Oh my god. And then he does fall to Showtime. Showtime takes down Gabe 3-1, and then Showtime falls to Clem once again at 3-1 in the grand finals. Congratulations here to Clem, as he is the champion. Again, he did come in as the heavy favorite to win the entire tournament. Typically, players that can threaten him are players like Cyril, like Rainer, like Classic, Hero, some of the other Korean players, but again, very Korean light at HomeStory Cup, and Rainer never had a chance to play against Clem. I would have loved to have seen them play and face off. I do feel like he probably was the biggest threat to Clem in this entire bracket, but they never did play, and Clem had an easier time and a stronger showing in those playoffs. GG. GG, well played. So congratulations to Clem, and a shout out to Showtime, because Showtime also performed quite well here. He took down SOS, Gabe, and Gabe again. I mean, again, these are kind of like the results that we expect here out of Showtime. I feel like, to be honest, I feel like we could have maybe have seen a different result if Cyril had beaten Gabe. I can definitely see a world where Cyril takes down Gabe and then Cyril takes down Showtime. Then we have a Cyril versus Clem finals instead. I still feel like Clem wins that. But again, just winding it back, that's why that was such a big result and such a big upset, was Gabe defeating Cyril and never allowing Cyril to face off against Showtime. So crazy win there for Gabe. Crazy win. Very impressive. GG. GG. Yeah, I feel like that Gabe result is, like, to me at least, more important than than the other matches here in the playoffs. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy. I can't wait to see those games myself. Can't wait to see them. Sure, they're gonna be good. But with that, congratulations to Clem. He does claim the win. He's going to be this season's, or this iteration's, HomeStory Cup champion for HomeStory Cup number 28. And also, I guess, kind of to commemorate this, I don't think they initially planned it, but at the time, there was a Team Liquid producer at the event itself, and they were actually able to unveil a teaser of their upcoming documentary. There is an upcoming documentary for Team Liquid. We kind of alluded to it earlier, but it is The Game That Never Died. Team Liquid SC2 documentary going over the history of StarCraft 2, or specifically Team Liquid in StarCraft 2, going over Tasia, Hero, Cure, Clem, all their players, and again, the history of StarCraft and their rise and fall of some of their players as well. So they did release a teaser trailer during the HomeStory Cup events, so that is a part of the VOD, and I'm sure they've posted it somewhere, or I'm sure they will post it somewhere if they haven't already. So yeah, they did tease that. Bearing in mind this is separate from the novel or from the book that they released, referring to the Behind the Blue Team Liquid history. But I feel like it all comes hand in hand, right? I feel like what was written there and what was kind of taken there is also going to be a part of the actual video documentary. On top of that, if you watch the teaser, they did actually show off some footage from that event a couple of months ago, from that kind of like fan signing, like fan meetup event, the Team Liquid event, with Tasia, with Hero, with Clem, with Cure, right? All these players, old and new, kind of like coming together again. It looks like they again did film some things with those current and ex-players for this documentary. So again, filming was done there, which is really cool to see. I would love to hear more from Tasia and from Hero, and again from times gone by as well. It would be nice to kind of catch up with them and kind of get their perspective and see all this come together. Bearing in mind this is separate from the Comeback Kid Clem documentary that is being made by Comeback TV. Bearing in mind it is going to be separate. Comeback TV, they're doing their own Clem focused documentary. Meanwhile, this is a more Team Liquid history documentary, which will be covering Clem, of course, but also their older players as well, and their kind of rise in StarCraft. So definitely a lot to look forward to. Meanwhile, that leads us into the RSL. Sorry, I almost said RSL. That leads us into Rungy Cup Season 3. Now, if you've been watching us and you've been following the CranKy Ducklings, we've been covering the group stage and even the playoffs of the Rungy Cup, and initially we were hyping it up, talking about how the finals will be offline, right? It's gonna kind of lead into a big offline event, at least for the two final players. But we did recently receive an update a couple of days ago, explaining that unfortunately, due to circumstances that maybe they went into in greater detail, we weren't able to translate the announcement itself, but as a bit of a wrap-up, or as a bit of a TLDR, unfortunately, they will not be able to have an offline finals. It does mean that the finals for Rungy Cup is going to be online on Saturday. In 2 days. In 2 days' time, it'll be online. So it's a bit of a shame. We were definitely looking forward to it, but regardless, I'm sure it's going to be an amazing event. But it is going to be an online-only event instead. So unfortunately, it looks like there were maybe some issues with the venue, with the bookings, and they maybe had to reschedule, but they didn't want to delay it for too long or clash with some of the other events, bearing in mind that RSL is around the corner as well. PiG Festival is around the corner, so the schedule is quite tight, so they wanted to kind of wrap things up and not really delay any further, so they agreed that it's going to be an online finals, and look forward to it. Here on the CranKy Ducklings, at least, we already wrapped up the quarterfinals. We're going to be casting the semifinals tomorrow, and of course, the grand finals will be live on Saturday, and we should be able to cast it live. We should be able to, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Meanwhile, that leads us into our next bit of news. That leads us into, hey, we spoke about RSL. RSL, the Rival StarCraft League, the first season of 2026 is upon us. We have confirmation that it does begin March the 7th. March 7th to April 5th. It's going to be a month of StarCraft, a month of RSL, the qualifiers into the group stage, into the playoffs. Now, I'm most curious to see how they schedule themselves. If you recall, one of my big criticisms of the RSL was just how few matches that they would actually have during a broadcast. There would be days where they would have like a 2-hour broadcast day, just really, really short casts, just because how few matches they would actually showcase. If you recall, like, that wasn't just our only criticism. One was just how few matches that they would schedule a day, but two was filling that time, right? I would hope to see that they do something with their studio. Again, bearing in mind that they rented out a studio space, they have cameras, like they're in Korea. It would be ideal to make use of that, right? Hey, you're in Korea, you have access to translators, you have this big Patreon. why not bring some players on to guest commentate or to have a brief discussion on, to have them on for RSL After Dark? We used to do something like this for ANZ Champs, if you remember, bringing on NXZ, for example, or bringing on Oreo, just have like a brief discussion, getting into the event itself or getting into the broadcast day, hearing their thoughts, talking about the meta, or even just, chilling out and just hanging out even as well. Again, to have a studio and to have a studio space specifically in Korea, and to have all these players that happen to be local to the Korea, happen to be be regional in Korea, take advantage of that. That's what I would want to see out of RSL, is make better use of what they have available to them, and the players that are nearby, and take advantage of that in some way. Whether it's even players or maybe even just other casters and content creators in the space, in esports in general, not even just specifically in StarCraft. Like, I feel like there's a lot of potential with what they can do, and hopefully they can take that on board and improve moving forward, and bring us a greater and better product, which I feel like they can achieve. So we'll see. We shall see. To hope they can bring that all together. Meanwhile, when it comes to the event itself, we do have our 4 confirmed seeded players. We have Hero, Classic, Zound, and Raynor. They are the top 4 of the offline finals. So we have 3 Protoss and 1 Zerg player already confirmed. Meanwhile, we do have the qualifiers. It's going to be, we have the America server qualifier, the Korean server qualifier, and the European server qualifier as well. Bearing in mind that I believe that these qualifiers are only server-based. They are not region-locked. So anyone can compete. And again, this will be taking place over the course of the next week, on the 14th of February. Yeah, 14th of February and the 15th.
Yeah, technically, I think they're all 14th of February, like depending on the time zone, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
It's all Valentine's Day.
Depending on the time zone. Yeah, like for me, it's the 14th and 15th of February. So it's going to be a very jam-packed day of qualifiers. We historically did cast the RSL qualifiers, but again, as I mentioned before, our availability is very limited nowadays, just because of what's been happening IRL. So solid maybe on that one. We might be able to cast a couple, maybe not all of them. Just looking at the schedule here, there's a very high chance that we cast the Korean qualifier. There's a high chance we cast the Americas qualifier. There's a low chance that we cast the European qualifier. Just as a heads up. Technically, I could do all 3. Thinking. Nah, I probably won't be able to. Yeah. Probably won't be able to. I might be able to do like Americas and Europe and skip Korea, or do America and Korea and skip Europe. But yeah. Regardless, that's going to be on the 14th and 15th of February, so do look forward to that. As we have the upcoming qualifiers for the RSL. And I'm sure there's going to be invites involved. Just like last time, there's going to be like a fan Patreon votes. That was also a big part. Basically, the players that fail to qualify will be available to be voted on to be able to make it through. There'll be 3 spots. 3 spots available. As that leads us into the next big event that was, of course, announced. That is the Pigsty Festival number 7.0. Have there ever been a 0.5? Like, have they... That's the reason why we're calling them 0.0. Actually, hold on this. There was Pigsty Festival 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, 6.0, 7. Yeah, there's never been a 0.5. So it's kind of weird that they're doing the 0.0.
You mean like 0.5 as in like the half?
Yeah.
No.
Like, why do 7.0 instead of just 7? Pig? Jared? What's going on? God damn it. But yes, the Pigsty Festival is back for 2026. It is going to be beginning here February 19th, ending March the 1st. So here we go. Has been announced, has been confirmed. And when it comes to the event itself, do we have any confirmed players? We have several he's confirmed as an invite, but we still have yet to confirm the other invited players and players in the qualifier as well. Now, this is something unique, and I do really like this. I feel like this probably should have been the case previously, but in previous seasons and previous editions, there used to be specific Pigsty qualifiers, but for this Pigsty Festival, PondCast Cup will act as a qualifier instead. So PondCast Cup will have qualifying spots available.
From my understanding, it's both. There will be dedicated qualifiers, but also PondCast Cup is a qualifier.
Yeah, so there's going to be 2 qualifiers, 4 players in total. So 2 players will make it through from PondCast Cup. from PonCast Cup, and the other qualifier has yet to be determined when it comes to his time slot. But we should be there. We should be able to cover it ourselves, depending on our schedule, I suppose. But yeah, it's really cool to see that they're making use and incorporating PonCast Cup in the Pig Festival. I feel like it's a really good way to kind of cross promote and to incentivize signups and to incentivize participation in PonCast Cups in general. So it's a nice way to make use of that. When it comes to the event itself, it's going to be a 2,000 USD prize pool, which does have a way to support the event as well, I believe. Yeah, there is a way to support. There's a way to donate. Pig StarCraft, pigstarcraft.com. Pig's own website does have a donation link. I'll actually be posting it in the chat. Currently has reached already $2,000, almost $3,000, with a donation goal of 10,000. So 10K donation goal here to fully support, to fully fund, and to potentially even head into the next event as well, into the next Pig Fest. So again, you can help support if you wish. Donations are going to be open for the near future, allowing for community support, allowing for the crowdfunding for the event. So again, it is all there. It is all on Pig's website. When it comes to the event itself, it is going to be a group stage. It's going to be the initial group stage into the playoff bracket. It's a really interesting playoff bracket here. Double elimination. Double elimination. It looks like we have upper bracket quarterfinals into lower bracket as well. So interesting setup here, and yeah, we'll be following it closely here on the PondCast. Pig, he usually does cast this event himself. Usually it's not open to community coverage, so we will not be casting the Pig Festival. At the most, we will be covering the qualifiers. So most qualifiers here in the CranKy Ducklings, otherwise they'll all be covered by El Chanchito, by Pig. We'll be covering that. Meanwhile, time to get into results, into tournament results themselves. First, we do have the Patch Clash Showdown number 2. We were actually invited to cover this event. Unfortunately, at the time, we were unavailable, so we weren't able to cover it. But we did have 3 show matches, all taking place on Patch's patch. He does have a mod. Patches, he has created his own balance mod with some crazy upgrades and some crazy changes. It's a pretty daunting and pretty in-depth mod. Do recommend checking it out. It is a lot of fun. It's definitely a breath of fresh air, and now is the time, especially in the off season, to have events like this. So we had 3 show matches. We had Frogos versus Sujen, we had Special versus Mixu, and Foxer versus J Money. Off-race show match. Oh, interesting. So in the end, Sujen takes down Frogos 3-2 in a PVT. Congratulations to Sujen. All right, this isn't just on the Patches mod, but also on a fresh map pool as well, featuring what looks to be maybe even some of the older TLMC maps that Patches created. So I see 10,000 Feet, Celestial Enclave, Title Citadel. I also see Cenotaph, Lumen, Washout, and Rorschach, which I believe some of these were previously submitted maps made by Patches. So again, Sujin takes on Fogos 3-2. Juanito Special takes on Mixu 3-0, and then we have J Money versus Foxer off racing as Protoss, going all the way to the Ace match, and J Money takes down Foxer 3-2. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to J Money, Special, and Sujen for claiming their wins, for claiming their matches. That leads us into our next event. That leads us into our amateur events. Here we go. We have the Amateur League Weekly. Also, my apologies before I get ahead of myself. I believe Patches did actually speak on his mod a little bit here. Not quite. Never mind. He was just kind of reaching out. He was reaching out for.
To summarize, he decided that because the publishing is disabled and because you need to use the special mod to even access the updated mod of the patches. But anyway, he decided that instead of making open tournaments, he will just be running show matches for the time being, because it's just easier to organize that way. However, if somebody wants to take part in these show matches, even if they're not like high MMR, they can still do so by joining their Discord, and they will like try to organize some matches in like different MMR brackets.
Yeah. This is kind of going along the unfortunate reality that the game is still not letting you kind of update mods and allowing for mods to be as vibrant as they once were. We're still waiting for that to be updated and patched by Blizzard. Fingers crossed. It's been quite some time. It's been quite some time. So Hopefully that does change in the near future, but this is kind of a bit of a workaround for patches to still host events on his mod, and to not really have too much issues when it comes to open signups, just because I'm sure people signing up and trying to compete aren't necessarily familiar with the process and with the way to actually make use of that mod and gain access to it. But that leads us into the Amateur League Weekly number 149. Here we have the Initiate Weekly. Basically, these are weekly tournaments that are specifically league locked. They're league locked here based on your placement: bronze, platinum, diamond 1, diamond 2, masters 3, masters 2, etc. So they are kind of split off depending on your MMR range and an MMR segment or league segment. And this does run, or these do run, on a regular weekly basis. Bearing in mind there's no prize pool to this, but there are points. There are points allocated, and with enough points you can actually be invited into a monthly or seasonal finals that does actually have a prize pool. First things first, though, we do have our Initiate Weekly for bronze to platinum, so bronze up to platinum here. We do have some regulars. We have Dollar Tree Dipper, we see Checo TV, X-Decker, who I believe was the previous champion even, and he does make it into the top 3, but instead this week we have Dollar Tree Dipper taking down Mondri the Man, taking down X-Decker, and taking down Mondri in the rematch 3-2 in a best of 5 finals. Goes all the way to the ace match. Congratulations to Dollar Tree Dipper. GG. GG, well played. That leads us into the veteran edition for Diamond 3 and Diamond 2. Here we do have some other regulars. I see Choi Galaxy, I see Sugarcoat II, Balimko as well. I'm unfamiliar with Barks. I don't think I've seen Barks before, actually. So we have a newer face to the scene.
Didn't we see him last week? I think he first appeared last week, actually.
It's possible that I might have said the same thing about Barks last week, and that is kind of true. So I did see Barks. He did play last week. He didn't go anywhere near as far, though. So Barks, he does make it all the way to the finals, takes down Balimko 2-1, takes down Sugarcoat II 2-0, and he does fall to Pretty Fly in the finals 3-2. Also went to the ace match. Also went all the way up to game 5. Meanwhile, a big shout out to Luisa GGG. God, baby God. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Luis, for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Hope you had a great time. Bienvenidos. Gracias, papi. Gracias. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the raid. We do appreciate it. Again, we're just going over the results, the tournament results of the week here on the PondCast. Again, Pretty Fly does come out on top here, coming in from the lower brackets, actually fighting hard. He took down Revo in the lower brackets, took down Balinko, took down Sugarcoat II as well. It was not an easy run there for Pretty Fly. GG. GG, well played, does claim the win. That leads us into the Prestige Tournament, Diamond 1 to Masters 2. Here we have more regulars. We have Steez, we have Boreal, we have Beast, we have Medic Jr., I see Set, I see Miss Crimson, Blade of Fire as well, so a lot of regulars. In this event, we do see Steez. Steez initially takes down Beast 2-1 to make it to the Grand Finals. Beast, he does recover, takes down Boreal, and comes in and does win in the rematch. This time does not go to the ace match, but he does win 3-1 over Steez. GG. GG, well played. Beast does come out on top. That leads us into the Elite Edition for M1 and GM. And I see a face that I have not seen in quite some time. Hatsu, of course, plays in almost everything nowadays. But 3 points. It's been a while. I haven't seen 3 point in a bracket all year. Like, it's been... Yeah, it's been a long time, so great to see 3 point is still around. He took a bit of a break, but no, he is back. He's returned, and 3 point does claim the series 3-0 over Hatsu. This might have to do with SEL. StarCraft Evolution League, they did announce that their weekly tournaments, or their Open Cup, is returning, I believe this weekend. Hopefully everything goes well with that. As we mentioned before, I know there are a bunch of issues when it comes to arcade maps, and hopefully everything runs smoothly. But they're going to be back this weekend, so potentially 3 point is getting back in shape, as I'm sure he's going to be part of that. I'm sure. As that leads us into Nation League. Nation League Season 7. The new season is upon us. Nation League with a brand new logo as well. Looking good, Bappy. Looking good. They have the new logo. They have the new setup for 2026. Again, Nation League is a team league. Is a MMR restricted team league, to be fair. But it is a team league here, bringing together all these nations. We have Team Taiwan and Japan. That's an interesting pairing. I don't think I've seen Taiwan and Japan team up in such a way. And what's interesting is that it's Team Taiwan Japan. They don't have any Japanese players. God damn it.
Maybe one of them has double citizenship. You don't know.
Yo, they couldn't reach out to Tapioca? Yo, we could have had Boba a part of this. They might still be able to sign him. They might be able to. It's possible. It's possible. God damn it. But
To
yeah,
be
we got
fair,
Team Taiwan and / Japan.
I was gonna say, I don't know.
Taiwanese
I don't know
players.
if they have like a restriction that you cannot like add more players later. Maybe.
Yeah, we'll see. So they do have their team. They have Undertaker. Undertaker's a player that we are familiar with, alongside Ming AOA. We have Example, Nisizhao, Ian. Oh, is that Ian? Is that Ian? Maybe. It's possible that they might just have the ID Ian and they didn't fix it and it just links to Ian instead. Yeah, I think so because he's listed as Protoss and Ian used to be Zerg. So
To be fair,
that should be a different Ian.
that could have changed over the years, but yeah, someone would have to confirm.
No, there's a higher chance it's going to be a different Ian. So until proven
yeah.
otherwise, that's my assumption. Meanwhile, we do have Team Bolivia. We have Charlie Cox, we have Galahad, Facebooka, Havertz, Crossstroke, and Endeavor. A team with a pretty hefty lineup. We have Team Brazil. We have Arez as the team captain. We have Laser. We have Purple, Adonin, Elevolts, Void, Mitsuji Shin, Vitorino, and Mathis as well. Another pretty high-profile team here for Team Brazil. We have Team Costa Rica with Neo being the team captain, followed by Neo Shine. Lovely. Wither, Eon off racing, bearing in mind that because of the MMR restrictions, Eon is going to be off racing as Protoss instead of playing his main race as Zerg. We then have Shadex and we have Van Reer as well. True, that might also be the reason why Ian is Protoss. If that is the actual Ian, then to compensate for that, he might be off racing. So then he's playing at a lower MMR level. True. Might be the case. Meanwhile, we have the team Czechaholic. We do have Team Czechia. We have Nuxman. We have Amber Drake, Majdi. We have Biri and Rathak. This is a team and some players that I'm very unfamiliar with. I will say that. For Team Ecuador, we have Kevin, ECW. We have Milo. We have Guti Ecuador. We have Lechero, and we have Krieg as well. We do have some players there that we are familiar with. We have Team Germany. We have Mac, Chris 2. We have Lutrax. We have Violin. We have Regal. We have Timo, Mad Max, Madman, and Wally. They're crazy. They're mad.
Not to be confused with Mad Max, of course.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that they both they both don't know each other at all, and they just happen to have similar usernames, and they just happen to join Team Germany. Like, I want to believe that's the case.
I don't think this is coordinated. I think this is random. I think it just happened.
That'd be beautiful. If only Mac was mad. That would be chef's kiss. Meanwhile, we have Team Guatemala. We have Boreal, who we are familiar with. Again, he did play in the Amateur League Weekly previously, if you recall, for the M2 edition. We have Imba Secret, Maximo. We have Jaco, Eral. We have San Savior, and we have Miamod as well. Most of these players I'm unfamiliar with. I do know Maximo, and I do know Boreal, but that's kind of it. That leads us into Team Hungary.
I would say this is one of these meme names that the guy is called Miamor. I just imagine the cast. Somebody's casting this and constantly saying "mi amor." This must sound great.
we had I love Uv. Like, I mean.
Yeah, but this one doesn't have like. This is more like, like you keep saying it as if you're saying it to someone. Great.
We had Love Your Girlfriend, right? Team Love Your Girlfriend. That was the thing. Yeah. Like, we've had had similar things. Meanwhile, we have Team Hungary. Team Hungary, we have Aztecs as the team captain, followed by Winter, Bali, Ibra, Cheese, Milka, Panda, and Order GG. That's a hefty team. A lot of players here that are regulars when it comes to amateur events, like Ibra, like Milka, like Bali, like Winter as well. So definitely a team that I'm looking forward to that does have a lot of potential, I will say. We then have Team Italy. We have Loviuf. We have Garlard. We have Escanor. We have Yayuka. We have Purs, we have Centurion, we have Tranolis, Nash, and Nofane as well. A lot of players that I'm not quite familiar with. Again, I'm not really close to the Italian region and the Italian scene, so curious to see how they do perform. Curious. As we get into Team Kazakhstan, we have Faust, we have Ditya, we have Ifrit Vacuum. Okay. Interesting name. Curious.
I know,
we have
right?
Fluxus, we have Time Raynar, we have Chrysocross, Norim, and Lucifer. Leads us into Team Peru. Team Peru is Mike Savage, Amit, Tryhard, Password, Lobo, Granz, Harsher, Dragon Fury, and Let Dos. Okay. Leads us into Team Poland. We have Matrix. We have Matrix. Matrix as a team captain. Maru from Temu. Lovely. That's quite a name. It's quite a name. Kosit, Words, Ether, Killer Bee, Pi, Rombas, and Lesker. Yo, Pi is playing? Let's go. Este Pi. Beautiful, beautiful. Wishing the best, wishing the best. Team Sweden, we have next Zistem, Gledrist, Neo, Myonmu, Cost Phoenix, Wake Werner, and Gargoyle. Okay, obviously we are familiar with Cost Phoenix, has been on the rise as of late. Best of luck to Cost Phoenix. We have Team Ukraine, we have Set as the team captain, we have Fulcrum, we have Ilya, Orielf, and Endro as well, followed by the Team US of A. Team captain is Medic Jr. We have Heyman. Dave Testa is playing. Okay, yes, the Dave. Dave Testa, Xenodactyl, Defiance, Sheldor, and Void. Okay, quite a lineup here. Quite a lineup of players, quite a lineup of teams. And again, we have already seeded together the group stage. Oh boy. Now, when it comes to the teams themselves, I have high hopes for some of the Latin American teams. I'm looking at Bolivia. I'm looking at Brazil. I believe they did place highly in the last season, so high expectations from them. I'm hoping that Team Taiwan Japan gets some Japan representation, hoping that occurs at some point. Some of the other teams that do look like heavy hitters, I'm looking at Team Hungary. And those are the three teams, and also Team Poland. Yeah, Team Poland. So I'm looking at Poland, Hungary, Brazil, and Bolivia. But we'll see how they do perform as we have our group stage. Group A, we have Team Taiwan, Japan. We have Team Hungary, Peru, and Bolivia. Oh, we have some heavy teams here. Hungary and Bolivia on the same group. We have Group B, we have Guatemala, we have Germany, Ukraine, and Kazakhstan. Group C is Sweden, Poland, Ecuador, and Italy. Group D is Costa Rica. We have Czechia, Team USA, and Brazil. Oh boy. Coming into these, again, it's hard to really call a favorite team just because of the formats. The way that it works, of course, is that they do kind of have this almost like Pro League-esque formats where they field certain players in each of the matchups. We already have maps decided, but we have yet to confirm the starting players. You can see that the players are divided by division. So you have Division 1, 2, and 3. Basically, these are MMR restricted divisions. So that does incentivize having more amateur players, diamond players, platinum players, masters players, and then your GMs. So again, that's why you have Eon off racing, for example. That's why you have Ian potentially off racing as well, just to be able to compete while also meeting those MMR restrictions as well. But coming into Group A, I'm gonna boldly claim Hungary and Bolivia. I know that Taiwan and Peru have a lot of potential as well, but I'll be leaning towards Hungary and Bolivia. Group B, we have Group B, I'm going to lean towards... I'm a little bit biased for Ukraine because we have Set. He's our boy, Papi. So I'm a little bit leaning towards Ukraine there. Kazakhstan, likewise, also has some other players that we have casted in the past as well. I'm going to lean towards maybe Germany and Ukraine. I want to see Guatemala do well. I know that Boreal, he has a lot of passion. He plays a lot as well. I'm just a little bit unfamiliar with his team, so I don't know how well he can lead his nation to victory there, but best of luck to Boreal. Best of luck. Group C, we have Sweden, Poland, Ecuador, and Italy. As I mentioned before, I haven't really seen too much of the Italian players, so I don't really know how to kind of place them. I'm leaning a little bit more towards Poland. They have a little more notables on their team, so I feel like Poland is coming in as one of the stronger teams. Likewise, Team Sweden, I'm also a little bit unfamiliar with as well, so I'm excited to see, except for Coast Phoenix, of course. So we'll see how Sweden, Ecuador, and Italy do compare. Likewise, we have Group D, we have Costa Rica, we have Czechia, USA, and Brazil. Coming into this, Brazil, for me, is one of the heavier teams, the heavier favorites. USA has a lot of potential. They're a very cheesy team. I see Dave Tessa and Xenodactyl, right? Like, those are hyper cheesy players. Even Medic Jr. can be unorthodox. He can be very unorthodox at times. Defiance, I mean, it's a pretty strong team, to be fair, when it comes to USA. Very cheesy team, I feel, for the most part. So they have a lot of potential as well. They can pop off. But best of luck. Bearing in mind that the first round is going to be taking place over the next couple of days, getting into the first round, and then we'll be following the results of this event on a weekly basis throughout the course of the group stage into the playoffs as well. Best of luck. Best of luck to all the competing teams. Best of luck to all the players and nations involved as well. Best of luck. Always a lot of fun. Always a lot of fun following Nations League. That leads us into the Insane Master Killers Cup 2026. Oh boy. Remember, this is an in-house tournament. It is an in-house tournament, and we did expect Dark Unnamed to come out on top. That is what we expected last week. I think last week they already had the group stage, question mark, or at least they announced the event.
They were already mid playoffs, I believe. I think only the final played.
Okay. So we do have the finals concluding here, and Dark Unnamed, he does... I love how for the finals they have the names reversed. But Dark Unnamed, he takes down Jonathan. Jonathan takes down Raza and takes down Boreal without dropping a single map. Yeah, Dark Unnamed, again, he was the heavy favorite to win the entire tournament. Dark Unnamed, he's an ex-pro player. He's an ex-pro that retired for a long time. Boreal, he's got a lot of love from us, but alas, does pale in comparison to Dark Unnamed. So congratulations, Dark Unnamed, for claiming the win. GG. GG will play. That leads us into Chicken King Cup. Chicken King Cup at number 8. Again, this is a monthly-ish tournament. I believe we already saw the group stage previously, but now we can delve into the playoffs. Here we go. The playoffs did actually take place. We already went through the group stage. Kingslayer. We had Kingslayer versus, I believe, is that Millennium Fox? I'm gonna tell them. I believe so. Yep. So Millennium Fox takes down Kingslayer 3-1. Big win. If you recall, I was actually looking forward to that series because they're both very young players and they both have a lot of potential. Meanwhile, Jello Loves takes down his opponent. I think that's Tsukino. No, sorry, that's Nanyu. That's the other one. So Jello Loves takes down Nanyu 3-1 to advance on to the semifinals. Jello Loves was the favorite player there. We then have claiming the 3-0 that... Shafei. Yeah, there we go. That's Shafei. Shafei takes down his opponent 3-0 to advance on to the semis, and then we had Dai Yoneko. Oh, that's a player I'm not familiar with. Dai taking down his opponent 3-0. Wait, no, sorry, that's Silky, right? That's Super Kitty, right? God, I can't believe he changed his name. Yeah, that's Silky. So Silky, if you remember, he changed his name to Super Kitty for a little bit, as a bit of a meme when he was competing for Super Kitty. He actually is on the team, so he name changed, and I just Google translated his name because I was like, who is this? Who are these characters? And yes, it is Big Cat. It translates to Big Cat or quote unquote Super Kitty. That is Silky. For some of these tournaments, he's calling himself Super Kitty. Shaking my head. Where one day we'll have standardization amongst IDs on Wikipedia so that we know who the hell everyone is. God damn it. So Silky takes down his opponent 3-0. Silky then takes down Shafei 3-0, and Silky goes up against Millennium Fox. Millennium Fox took down Jolo Loves. That's a big win for Millennium Fox, and we can see Millennium Fox even taking 2 maps off of Silky as well. Very, very nicely done. Silky was coming in as a heavy favorite, but it's great to see some of these younger up-and-comers threaten him like Millennium Fox. GG. GG well played. Again, congratulations here to Silky. Does claim the win for all Super Kitties out there. Shaking my head, baby. Shaking my head. As that leads us into our next event, that leads us into the Best Zerg in China 2026. It's a tournament dedicated to Silky. That's... God damn it. Scrolling down, who do we have here? We have 10 Zerg players and 6 other race players that I would imagine are off racing. But we have Latte, we have Rewhite, Silky, Smile. We have, I believe that's Nanyu. Oh. Every time. Yeah, we have Nanyu. We have... Who's this on 4-Leaf Clover? It's a poison keyboard. Lovely. We have Ear, we have Jolo Loves, Miggy, Ghost Runner, alongside 2 other Terran players. I believe that's Millennium Fox. And who's that on Astartes? That is... Guming DJ. Guming. Okay. So we have some of the race players. We initially had the qualifiers. Latte does make it through the qualifiers. Ooh, Rewhite failed to make it through said qualifier. I mean, I say that, looks like they still have to play out their matches. We have Rewhite versus his next opponent. Asiltric. I feel like someone just slammed their hand on a keyboard for that name. How do you pronounce that name? How do you?
Which name?
Who's Rewhite's opponent in lower brackets in the urban qualifier?
Asiltric.
Yeah, there you go.
What do you mean?
So they're going to be facing off in that lower brackets, and then that leads into the ZVZ mirror stage. Now coming into this, Silky is the heavy favorite, 100%. Like Silky, AK Super Kitty, AK pick a name. Silky, he is going to be coming as heavy favorites. Second place, I'm going to lean towards Nanyo. Like Nanyo is kind of like my second pick here. Outside of that, though, best of luck. Best of luck to all the other players involved. Oh. As it's going to be a lot of ZVZs. It's a lot of ZVZs.
Yeah, and if you scroll down, there will also be a ZVX challenge, so the other race players will actually be facing the Zerix, I assume.
Yeah. Best of luck. I feel like we could have, like, if we're inviting other race players, why isn't Rewhite there? Like, I feel like Rewhite's Protoss is comparable to, it's better than Ghost Runner, for example. Like, I don't, I know. Where's Nanyo's competing. Where's Tsukino? True. Where's Tsukino? Where is Nanami Shiaki? I feel like could also be a strong contender there as well. Give me my Nanami. But regardless, best of luck to all those Zerg players involved. Again, Silky will come in as a heavy favorite. We'll see if anyone can stop Silky in the ZVZs or even in the other show matches as well. That leads us into Legacy Weekly Japan, number 489. These are the players that we have to message to play in Nation League. God damn it. We have Tapioca. Tapioca takes down Hirakui, takes down Sayark, and takes down Vaisravanya 2-0 in the finals. Congratulations to Boba, to Tapioca for claiming the win. No surprises here. Again, Vaisravanya has beaten Tapioca in recent weeks. True. Did bring him down 2 weeks ago. Likewise, we have seen players like Deadly Kitty also threaten Tapioca, but Tapioca is still the heavy favorite, is still the best player in Japan. Congratulations to Tapioca. That leads us into the OSC King of the Hill, weekly number 236. Here we go. As this is a weekly tournament, it is, of course, a King of the Hill style tournament, pure best of ones. And who faced off this week? We have Erebus. Erebus Black takes down Ragnar 1-0, initially to be the first King of the Hill, followed by Hatsu. Hatsu takes down Erebus. Cham takes down Hatsu, and Cham goes on a very small win streak, defeating Hatsu and defeating Minovike before falling to GG Machine. GG Machine, he does go on his own win streak, takes down Cham, takes down Mixu, takes down the Russian Art. 3 players go down before GG Machine does fall to Percival. Percival takes down GG Machine, takes down Iba. Great to see Iba competing again. But Percival, he does only get 2 wins before falling to Nicorette. Nicorette takes down Percival. Cristiano takes down Nicorette. Shameless takes down Cristiano. Creator takes down Shameless. Bunny takes down Creator. And Bunny takes down Inexorable in the final best of 1. GG, well played. Congratulations to Bunny for becoming the King of the Hill of this week, the OSC King of the Hill. And again, Bunny is not a regular. This might be even the first time we see Bunny in an OSC tournament, in an OSC King of the Hill tournament. Bunny is a rarer sight, so great to see some more Bunny here. Again, we have some key players, but really short win streaks. Cristiano only winning 1, Shameless only winning 1, Creator only winning 1 as well. But Bunny, claiming the win at the very end, is going to be invited to be the starting player in next week's King of the Hill. GG, well played. With that, Bunny alongside GG Machine, they do earn the most amount of prize money here. Bearing in mind, you earn prize money depending on how many games you do win. GG Machine did go on the biggest win streak. He won 3 games in a row. Bunny did earn some extra prize money because he was the final standing player. Last standing player here for Bunny. GG. GG. So again, no major win streaks. Often we do have like these 4, 5, 6, 7 plus game win streaks for a dominant player, but this week, again, everyone was just knocking each other out. Really short win streaks here. No one went on a tear. That leads us into our Open Cups. This week's KSL, the Korean StarCraft League, week number 85. We did live cast this event. We were there alongside Dave Testa, Chicken Man, and Enki, which we'll have to fix when it comes to the Wikipedia page because for some reason we're not listed there for the streams.
I think we casted from replays. It wasn't like
True. We did cast from replays. My memory is lacking there. But in this event, we did have our semifinals. We did have Hero. Hero takes down sort of 2-0, does advance on the face against Cure. He does take down Cure 2-0 as well. Meanwhile, we have Classic takes down Jolo Loves. Home Mono did compete as well. Classic did bring him down. Classic towards Percival. And then we had the finals. Classic versus Hero in a best of 5. Now, before we discuss the finals, we had Percival. Percival did take down Beyond 2-1. Big win there for Percival. This is becoming more of a regular occurrence. We did actually hype up Percival at the beginning of the broadcast when we spoke about Universe returning to StarCraft, and this is an example of that. Percival has been getting some more regular big results like this. Beating Beyond, beating Classic, beating Shin. It's now becoming a little bit more regular. I will still say that Beyond is favored. I will still say that Classic is favored. Shin is favored. These other big players are still favored against Percival, but Percival beating them is now happening on a little bit of a more frequent basis. Again, he's still not favored, but it's happening more and more often. So again, Percival, he has been improving steadily, quite quickly over the past year. It's been impressive, an impressive rate of improvement there from Percival. Again, he does fall to Classic in the semifinals, but Classic, he is one of the best Protoss players in the world, and Classic 3 years Hero. This was a big result, a surprising result. We spoke earlier how Hero has had a dominant showing against Classic. Hero beat Classic in the finals of RSL in December. Hero beat Classic in the finals of OC Championship. Like Hero, he's been beating Classic in these big premier events and is the favorite in KSL, but this week Classic does get his revenge. So GG, congratulations to Classic for beating Hero. It's been a long time coming. It's been he vents his frustrations, takes him down 3 years. GG. GG, well played. That leads us into the Ladder Legends Academy Open Showdown number 1. Ladder Legends, of course, they are a coaching kind of service, and they recently have been hosting events. They have been hosting these events in recent times. Shout out to Draven. I believe Draven has kind of been spearheading that initiative. So big shout out to Draven, as he has been looking for casters for said event as well. I believe Defiance did cover the event himself. And this event, did we actually have any limitations here? One moment. Just open signups. Okay, it was just open signups. Open signups, it was a 70 USD prize pool. We had a Beyond, we had Defiance, we had Ateshi, Azura, we had Art, Universe. Hey, Universe was there, Rebellion, Shameless, Medic Jr., Creature, Patches, Nicarat, Eon, Gooders, and a couple of others. Coming into this event, Beyond was the heavy favorites, but hey, look, Art was able to take a map off of Beyond. Likewise, Shameless also did pose a threat as well, also taking a map, but in the end, congratulations to Beyond. Does claim the win here. Meanwhile, we have Shameless coming in second place, Art in third, Nicarat in fourth. GG. GG, well played. Whether this becomes like a regular event is still hard to say. Whether this becomes like a weekly or a monthly or a bi-weekly. Currently, it says Wikipedia tier weekly, but you have to confirm, right? We'll see. We'll see if this does become a regular weekly event. Regardless, congratulations to Beyond. That leads us into the Wardy TV Monday. Wardy TV Monday number 72. If you recall, MaxPac and Clem, they've been having a bit of a harder time in this event. This event did take place, I believe, like 2 days after HomeStory Cup. I think it was yesterday. I think yesterday, if I recall correctly. No, sorry, 2 days ago. 2 days ago. But we did have MaxPax. MaxPax was able to compete. I believe Clem may have still been recovering from the weekend and from HomeStory Cup. So no Clem here, no Clem in sight. But instead we had MaxPax. He takes down Beyond 2-0, Percival 2-0, Classic 2-0, and Hero 3-1. MaxPax has been struggling over the past year in PvP against Classic and against Hero, but this week he does pop off. Big wins here for MaxPax, takes down Hero and Classic. Congratulations. To make it to the finals, Hero did take down Rogue and Cure, so some big wins there for Hero to make it that far. Classic, he was the one that took down Solar in the quarterfinals as well, but in the end, congratulations to MaxPax. Also, okay, shout out to Nice for taking down Shameless. Nice, he is a retired player, and he rarely competes, but every time he does, he pops off. So shout out to Nice for bringing down Shameless. GG. GG, well played. That leads us into the PiG Cup. PiG Cup number 67. Oh, un momento. This was this morning. Yesterday morning even. This was yesterday morning. Here we did have, likewise, our regulars. We had Hero, we had Creator, Cure, Solar, Beyond, Percival, and there it is. We saw Percival take down Beyond in KSL, and here it happens again. Percival 2-0s Beyond. Stronger showing in PiG Cup. Again, this is just becoming more of a regular occurrence here. So congratulations to Percival, takes down Bjorn 2-0, but he does fall to Solar in the semis. Solar takes down Percival 3-0 in the semifinals. Hero takes down Creator 3-1, and then we had a grand finals win all the way to the H match. Solar takes down Hero 3-2 in a very close and very clutch finals. GG, well played. Congratulations to Solar. My condolences to Hero. Did go far, did do well making it to the finals, but does fall in the end to Solar. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Solar. Does claim the win. Whew, as that does close up our Open Cups of the week, that leads us into the Wardy TV Winter Cup, which has been taking place over the past couple of weeks. We may have already gone through the group stage, I think. Correct? Part of it. Yeah, part of it. I remember now. At the time, Group D wasn't even seeded because we were missing invites. We were missing invites, so we didn't even have Group D. It looks like that was a little bit last minute and last second. Rex was kind of invited and thrown on, so shout out to Rex for competing, of course. We already went over Group A, B, and C, if I recall. Yeah, we already went through those groups. But Group D was Max, Shin, Showtime, and Rex. Looks like there was a big delay and a big break between Group C and Group D. Shin and Max make it through. Showtime barely doesn't. Again, Showtime has been looking good as of late, but Showtime, he does fall to Shin and fall to Max. So Showtime, he is out of the tournaments, and instead Shin and Max to advance on instead. That does formulate our playoffs, which actually takes place in half an hour. That is going to be in half an hour. We have Max versus Young Yakov in a PvZ. We have Hero versus Bjorn, Classic versus Shin, and Creator versus Cure. Okay. Oh, it's a bit of a shame that Max and Hero are on the same half of the brackets. Coming into this tournament, I would say that Max and Hero are the two favorite players to win the entire event, but it's single elimination and they're on the same half. They're both in the upper half of the bracket, so they will knock each other out. I do still favor them to face off in the semis. Best of luck to Bjorn, best of luck to Young Yakov, but Max and Hero are very in form at the moment. Max did just beat Hero in the Wardy TV Monday, so potentially we could see a repeat of that, or we could see Hero get his revenge. We often do see them trade back and forth. I do traditionally favor Hero over Max, so I'm going to lean towards Hero to make it to the grand finals from the upper half of the bracket. That's my prediction. Meanwhile, from the lower half, we have Classic, Shin, Creator, and Cure. I have a hard time counting Shin out. Like, my brain says Classic. The Classic just makes it to the finals, and it's going to be like a Hero versus Classic finals again. Like, they play so often in the finals recently. They're very much so in form. But I know that Shin can cause upsets, and I would call it an upset if he does beat Classic. But he has it in him, 100%. He has it in him to beat Classic. So does Creator, and so does Cure. Like, I do think that looking at these brackets, I do think that the lower half of the bracket is less clear. Classic, Shin, Creator, Cure, they're very, very close in skill. I do think there's more of a disparity in the upper half of the bracket, unfortunately. So it's just how kind of like the seedings have turned out. I'm still going to lean towards like a Hero Classic finals, but I could see Creator causing an upset, Shin causing an upset, or Cure causing an upset as well. But I lean towards the PvP finals. But I hope I'm wrong. Like, I hope that we have a more diverse finals, for sure. Hope we have a more diverse finals, but best of luck. Best of luck to all those involved. And again, that's going to be taking place in half an hour over on Wardy's channel. Again, the Wardy TV Winter Cup. So best of luck. Best of luck to all the players involved. They're going to be covering that event later on tonight. I don't believe it's going to be the entire tournament tonight. Just double checking. Oh, no, apparently it is. At least according to Wikipedia. But I think it's I think the quarterfinals will be tonight, and then tomorrow will be the semis and grand finals. That would make the most sense in my mind. Regardless, best of luck. Best of luck to all those involved for the Wardy event. As that does wrap up our podcast for the week. Again, not that many events this week, I will say. Not that many events this week, but we're ramping up, right? We just had HomeStory Cup, and that kind of ate up a lot of the time and a lot of the tournament slots that are usually available. So that was kind of like the big event for the week, was HomeStory Cup. And again, we have PiG Festival and RSL around the corner, and Rongi Cup this weekend. True. When it comes to the upcoming tournaments, though, exclamation mark sign up list in the chat. So what do we have next? We have StarCraft Evolution League. That is in 2 days' time. We have the Ladder Legends Academy Amateur Showdown. This is an MR restricted event for 4.5k and below. We then have the Amateur League Weeklies. We have Legacy Weekly Japan. We have the Youth Thermal 2v2 Circuit. True. The monthly Youth Thermal event is around the corner as well. We have the 40 TV Monday and Monday Night Weeklies. And the return of Tuna Cup will be next week. Tuna Cup will return. So plenty of open tournaments, plenty of open cups, and plenty of MR restricted tournaments as well. So if you're out there, you don't have to be a pro player. If you want to compete, you can sign up for these open cups, or you can even play in the Ladder Legends Academy event, or even the Amateur League Weeklies. Or Amateur League Monthlies, I should say. But you can take part. You can take part. So again, open signups are available to you. Meanwhile, we also have our Patreon, exclamation mark Patreon in the chat. Our Patreon does fund our tournaments on a regular basis. You know, Masters 1 Opens, Sea Duckling Opens, Sparkling Tuna Cups, it's all funded via Patreon. I do apologize as our events have been on a bit of a hiatus. As I mentioned before, unfortunately, I have been unavailable. There's been a lot of vet visits, a lot of stress, a lot of recovery, and that's still ongoing even as well. So unfortunately, I've just been unavailable to cast and to cover a lot of events this month. It's been a really rough January, and coming into February, we should be able to get back into casting a little bit more, but it's still going to be like a rocky January, February, March kind of period for us. We'll eventually get back into it, though. We'll eventually get back into it, eventually get back into full-time casting. It's going to be a really busy February and March because we have so much to catch up on. I mentioned before, but we do plan on covering Thunderfire again. We plan on covering HomeStory Cup replays, PiG Cup. We're behind like 4 weeks or 5 weeks of PiG Cup, so we got a lot of catching up to do there as well. We'll get there. And also the potential return of Turtle Tussle. True. Like, it's all kind of getting back into the swing of things. We're a little bit late to 2026, but we'll get there. Otherwise, thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Our next broadcast should be tomorrow. It should be in around 12 hours. In 12 hours' time, we're going to be live with Rongi Cup with the playoffs day number 3. That's going to be the semifinals for Rongi Cup, again in preparation for the grand finals on Saturday. In preparation. Likewise, we have the Euthermal event on Sunday. That's going to be over the weekend, and we have the Thunderfire StarCraft 2 Day 2 event also on Sunday as well. So we're finally going to be wrapping up Rongi Cup, wrapping up Thunderfire, We'll be able to wrap all that up and get into the next week, into all the open cups, into our regular schedule once again. We'll get there. And we still have to organize HomeStory Cup. Oh boy, it's gonna it's a lot of StarCraft. But otherwise, with that, thanks for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. We do appreciate the support, and we're going to be wrapping up for the time being. Stick around. We're going to be giving another StarCraft streamer a raid. I know that Wardy is going to be hosting his event soon, so do check out Wardy's channel. Who else is streaming? We have Rotterdam. Rotterdam is streaming. We have Universe. He's streaming as well. We just spoke about Universe's return to StarCraft. True. And I'm sure there are plenty of others. So give them some love, give them some support. We'll find someone to raid. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Until then, ciao. Bye, ciao. Hasta luego.